Hi there, it's Nick here. I've got a little story to tell you. Just thought I'd sit down with a nice cup of coffee and tell you what happened to me a long time ago. And you know, it was a long time ago. It must have been 25 years back, roughly. I mean, at that time I was going through a bit of a hard time. I was in bed with my chronic fatigue syndrome. There weren't that many ways in which I could socialise, but there was this group which you could use to build friendships. This was, of course, before the time of the internet, so it was harder to find people you could communicate with. And in those days, having pen pals was a very good way of communicating with people over distance. And I built a pen pal friendship with this nice young girl about my age, and I started talking to her about the weather, sports I like watching, movies I liked seeing, you know, the usual stuff. And then I mentioned to her an interest in ghosts. And at that point, her writing took a new level of life, a new level of vitality, because she also had an interest in ghosts. And this was revitalized, one should say, as a result of an experience that she'd had comparatively recently. You see, she was rather unwell. She had a bit of a fever. Her chronic fatigue was playing up, because this was a pen pal group of people with chronic fatigue. And she woke up in the dead of the night. There was a weight, or something which felt like a weight, at the foot of her bed, almost as if there was a person sitting there. And she looked up, and there was this little girl, wearing what appeared to be 1930s clothes, just sitting there. The little girl smiled at her and waved, and then vanished, rather as if a dimmer switch on an electric light had been turned slowly off. This experience kind of like startled this poor young girl, who I was talking to at the time. Even to the extent that she held a conversation with her mother about this the following morning over breakfast. She told her mother the full story. The weight on the end of her bed, waking up in the night, looking, seeing the girl sitting there clear as day, but still slightly transparent, and then fading away as if being connected to a dimmer switch which was being slowly turned off. Her mother asked her, how old did the girl look? She said, well, maybe about 4 or 5 or maybe 6 years old. The mother went deathly pale and told my pen pal of a time when she was just a child herself. Not the mother, but my pen pal. Apparently, she had told her mother every night to always leave the bedroom door open, just a little, so that the children could come in and play. And the children in question appeared, according to the description which my pen pal, when she was a child, had told her mother, was more or less early 20th century. Maybe 1930s. Now, I don't know what you think of this story, but the more people you talk to, if you show an openness to subjects related to the supernatural, the more stories like this you will uncover. Some people pretend to be disbelievers, some people try and become disbelievers, some people find it a bit too difficult to express that they have an interest in something which is a little unpopular in some circles. But these experiences do happen. I mean, there was a time when I was just having coffee with a few friends, this was only a few years ago, and there was this gentleman there. He was a labourer. He looked it, been working outdoors all his life since he was late teens, early 20s. Very practical, very hands-on kind of person he was. And then it turned out he was a spiritualist medium. And as well as doing his work as in construction, he would go out and do genuine spiritualist contact with people in their homes. There's much more occultism, much more transdeism, I should say, in the world than you might initially have thought. Sleep well. God bless.